Great to have you with us. Please like, subscribe, and share. All right, I want to jump to some more sobering news, and that is the Supreme Court decision that rolled out here right before the weekend. And this is not something that makes me terribly happy. The Supreme Court's been vacillating. Sometimes they're on our side, sometimes they're an extreme disappointment. In general, the Article 3 judicial branch of government since Donald Trump's inauguration has been a complete and utter disappointment. They've been complete and utter socialist, communist stick in the mud in terms of they have tried to destroy Trump's agenda, tried to destroy his mandate at every single turn. It's almost like one step forward, one step back. When Donald Trump issues orders, executive orders, when his administration goes and tries to effectuate the will, I'm going to use that word, effectuate the will of the American people, which is deport all these criminal illegals and all illegals in general, the court and the ACLU are essentially standing in Trump's way. And the court, the lower court, tyrannical, black-robed, inferior district court judges are allowing it to happen. Now, most of the time when it's got to the Supreme Court, Trump has won. On this particular one, though, we have a delay. Now, it's a limited delay, but let's dive into this.
Legal fallout from the Supreme Court's order to halt deportation flights. Former federal prosecutor and former acting ICE director, Jonathan Fahey. Jonathan, thanks for coming in on this holiday weekend. Great to have you. Want to ask you right off the bat about this midnight Supreme Court decision and what this does to the administration's plans to deport these illegal immigrants. This has got to be a blow to the White House, no?
I wouldn't read that much into it. I think what's going on here is basically they're going to put a pause and maybe put some process in place for how to use the Alien Enemies Act. I don't think they're going to declare it improperly used or unconstitutional here. They're just probably going to put some steps in place to say you must do certain things under this to deport people. And they knew if people got deported beforehand, they wouldn't get that process. So my guess is it's going to move along and the administration will still be able to use this. And the good news is it will provide some clarity as to how to use it, when it's appropriate, when it's not. That's my expectation. Obviously, I don't have any inside knowledge, but my expectation is they will be able to continue to use this.
So let's hope he's right. This is, I've been studying this. I've been trying to figure out where this ruling came from because Alito and Clarence Thomas absolutely lambasted this ruling. Their dissenting opinion was, it essentially said that this could be, the Supreme Court decision itself could be unlawful, was how far they went in terms of the Supreme Court halting deportations, which is a plenary power of the executive branch, of the president. And this has never before been challenged. We're going to get into that. So let's keep going with this, and we'll dive into a couple other videos.
And threatening the school's ability to enroll international students if the Ivy League doesn't submit records on.
It's just sort of a temporary bump in the road. And remember, these people, if they were going to be deported under that, they're still at least detained in ICE custody now, so keeping the American people safe in the interim.
All right, well, we'll be keeping our eye on that one.
Okay, so here's what I hope the Trump administration does. And that is, I hope that they, given this, first of all, no one's going to be released. I honestly believe Trump's just going to hold on to all these people. Right now, they're in ICE detainers. So in the meantime, if this is going to take a protracted amount of time, ship them off to Guantanamo. I mean, let's expand Guantanamo to house hundreds of thousands of people and ship them all there if we have to. That's my personal opinion. But anyway, so as he says, this might just be taking a pause and allowing. This might be the Supreme Court saying, "Hey, you can't deport these particular people because this decision is." It's not a nationwide injunction. It's none of that. It's for a specific group of people in Texas who are being deported, I believe, specifically to CCOT in El Salvador, and they want the appellate division to weigh in. That would then give the Supreme Court the ability to weigh in because they're going to follow process. They're not going to jump any other court. So I want to dive into that aspect. We're going to actually look at the Supreme Court decision, at least elements of it, and then we're going to follow up on this. But let's dive into, so TPM, so Newsmax had a segment that I want you to see. Check this out.
Over the weekend, we got somewhat of a surprise decision from the Supreme Court in a 7-2 decision. The High Court is putting a temporary injunction in place banning these deportation flights of suspected gang members to El Salvador. Back with us now is Ari Hoffman, the associate editor of the Post Millennial. Ari, what was your reaction when you found out that John Roberts and a few, the 7 other justices decided that President Trump doesn't have this authority under the Alien Enemies Act?
Well, I was kind of conflicted because all the people on the left are always saying, well, this is Donald Trump's Supreme Court, and then look how they ruled on this one. But at the same time, I didn't understand the decision at all. I mean, you look at Presidents Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, the amount of illegals that they deported without even using the Alien Enemies Act, and that was allowed with no problem. So is it they don't like the Alien Enemies Act, or is it they don't like deportations? Whatever the case may be, it was also a little odd that they did this seemingly over the weekend in the middle of the night without sending it back to the lower courts. In fact, Justice Alito and Justice Clarence Thomas both called them out for this in their dissenting opinion.
Yeah, I imagine it was a little awkward around the Supreme Court this morning when everyone showed up. I'm just kidding, of course. I know they have their own different way of doing things. But this to a non-legal mind like myself, I think this does begs, the decision here by the justices begs question. Are they expecting Congress to weigh in here and to decide what is a war and what isn't a war, which would then limit the president's power to do so? Well, I think what's concerning for many of us who are familiar with Article 1, Article 2, and Article 3 of the Constitution is this does seem like the judiciary taking away the power of the executive branch, the commander-in-chief.
Absolutely, it does. But then we have all the laws that were enacted after 9/11. So by making all these gangs, terrorist organizations, then you know what? They've set up a different option for this. Send them to Gitmo, give them all terror trials the way we did with the people from Al-Qaeda. They still don't have to be in the U.S. and you're not deporting them. I mean, we're talking about tens of thousands of people. So I don't know if Gitmo has the capacity for that. But we're also talking about super violent gang members, many of which have already had their day in court.
Right.
So this seems a very conflicting ruling that I don't really understand. It seems like the justices aren't actually going by the rule of law. It seems like they're more going with whatever they're feeling at the current moment.
So I completely agree with him. If need be, ship these people all to Gitmo. Or let's build giant camps in Texas if we have to, out in the middle of the desert, and stick them all there. But no one should be released, period. But he's absolutely right. Bush and other presidents have absolutely deported people ad nauseum. We have that right here. It's just amazing that this all happened without any problem previously. So 12.3 million deportations, 10 million deportations, 5 million. Trump's trying to do it, and he's got 30 injunctions. It's absolutely ridiculous. Now, I do want to look at the actual wording of part of this ruling, because I think that might help us make a little bit of sense of this. So check this out. All right. So government is directed not to remove any member of the putative class of detainees from the United States. So they're talking about this specific group of people in Texas. So this is not a nationwide injunction. It's none of that. So it was specific. It's specific to a group of people. It's not a nationwide injunction. We don't have to worry about that. And I believe in listening to these two gentlemen that what we've got is the court taking a pause, allowing the appellate court hopefully to weigh in, and then we might get back. What they may be looking at is the actual Alien Sedition Act and how it's being used, and do they want to weigh in on that? But either way, this is a delay that Trump does not need to have, because we need to get to deporting 10,000 plus illegal immigrants a day. If we get to 10,000 a day, we'll be about 3.6 million a year. At the end of Trump's term, we would be north of 15 million deported. That's where we need to be. So let's hope that the Pam Bondi Justice Department, those arguing before the Supreme Court, can get this, not reversed, but get this pushed through the system so that we can get back to mass deportations. At the same time, if we're not flying them to El Salvador, let's keep massively deporting everybody that we can. Let's get these illegals out of the country. Thanks everybody for being here. Really appreciate you guys. You are awesome. Again, please like, subscribe, comment, let us know how we're doing. If you like the content, please share it with everybody that you know.